Welcome to Between the Details, the podcast where event planning gets real. I'm Jessica Ralph, owner of Parties a la carte.
And I'm Aaron Lockwood, owner of Lockwood Studios. Each week, we'll be sharing insider tips, honest advice, and behind-the-scenes truth for both vendors and clients.
Welcome to our next episode of Between the Details. I'm so delighted to have our good friend Josh here from the Noah Gray Music.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So excited.
Yeah, thank you for coming in today. So you told me earlier from New York.
Yes.
Is that where you're born and raised?
Born and raised in New York.
Who knew? That explains so much.
You didn't know that?
Wow.
It does explain a lot. Yeah.
So you're a Florida transplant then?
I'm a Florida transplant.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm born and raised Long Island, New York.
Wow.
I did weddings for 16 years in New York.
Oh,
and
wow.
Corporate events and all kinds of events in New York. So that's where a lot of my experience comes from. And moved down here almost 7 years ago now.
Okay.
And just decided I was going to do it on my own, start my own company. So
What made you want to move to Florida?
actually, my wife and I have always talked about moving to Florida. I have some family that lives in Clearwater, so specifically the west coast of Florida. And honestly, there just wasn't a good opportunity because of the line of work I was in. It was really hard to leave. Like people are booking you a year plus out in advance. So there wasn't really a great opportunity. We talked about it being like a later in life thing. And then COVID happened and, you know, there was no other, everybody's like, oh, you moved. It wasn't politically charged or anything. Like we were just like, hey, this is like an opportunity for us to switch up our life if we wanted to. And we were like, let's just do it. Let's just take a trip down and feel it out. And we fell in love with it as soon as we came here. We were in the Tampa area first, and then we settled in on Sarasota. We really loved Sarasota, and that's where we are now.
Such a beautiful place to live.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Now, if somebody asked you, like, do you consider yourself a Floridian or do you consider yourself a New Yorker?
He's a New Yorker.
Because a lot of people are like, once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker.
Yeah.
But like, have you adopted that Florida lifestyle?
I feel like I have. I think the Floridians would tell me when they hear, do you guys hear a New York accent or no?
I don't really notice
bit.
it that much.
It comes out a little bit, especially like when I'm hanging with my wife and we're just shooting it. Yeah, it comes out every now and then. But when I lived in New York, I worked on not having it as much because I never liked the sound of it. Yeah.
Does that mean you're an aggressive driver?
Yes.
Hey, Floridians they take that over New Yorkers. Yeah. You have to, when you're driving through Manhattan, you have to be. I'll never forget the first time I drove in Manhattan. But Floridians, they might take the cake on the aggressive driving.
That's because nobody's from here.
Yeah.
Well, you're from here.
I'm from
She's
here.
one of the rare people that are born and raised in
here.
Florida. So she's probably a better driver than the rest of them.
I'm actually a terrible driver.
Well, maybe you fit in New York then.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we love that you have, kind of several bands. So my first question is, what do you think the role that live entertainment plays in shaping the overall event?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I could be biased. It plays a very crucial part, as do all vendors, but it's such a unique position to be in at an event, right? Like you are a lot of times like the centerpiece of the event. You are on display. Everything that you say, every note that you play musically, it is amplified through a speaker. Yeah. So your clients are hearing everything you do. The crowd, the vendor team hears everything you do. The valets in the parking lot are like hearing everything. So everything is on display, and a lot of the energy of the night really, I feel like
it's on your shoulders.
Yeah, I feel like the vendors do a lot of work to get everybody to a point, and then it's like they hand it off to us, and it's like cross the finish line with it, like take us home, So it's a pretty unique position to be in, and I know that, like I said, I know all the vendors have really crucial roles, and it needs to be a total team effort. But I do feel like it is on display in a unique way, and it's a big responsibility. So
it is. I mean, you really,
seriously.
I feel like make or break the night.
Yeah. Sure.
If you've done a bad job and they're leaving early, it's not good.
Yeah, and I don't
mean you in particular. I mean the band.
Yeah. We had an experience where we had a client. It was a lot of things. They had a friend that was a planner. I should have hired you, and there was a falling out the night before the wedding, and the planner like left them the day of.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and like it was.
This is why I always say my number one rule: you do not use friends or family for your wedding day. You have to have a signed contract. I don't care what they've said to you, what they're telling you. Yeah. There needs to be a set of expectations. Yeah. There needs to be some form of compensation.
Any personal,
yeah, because you've got to have that in writing.
So true. Yeah.
Number one rule.
And I saw them like deflated because I really like to like get very well acquainted with my client. So he was texting me like that morning, like telling me what happened. And I saw him before the ceremony and he seemed so deflated. And like he was like worried about, there was a lot of things that were going wrong. They came in and we rocked it. And I'll never forget him like hugging me at the end of the night. He was like, "You saved our wedding." So like, yeah, I mean, like that feels great. And it's like I said, it's a role that we don't take lightly. We know that we can make or break the night sometimes. You know?
That's awesome because it really sets the tone for sure. And from our perspective, whether we're doing photography or video coverage, like if the band is really keeping it going and the atmosphere, everything, it just makes our job so much easier too because we're just capturing these genuine moments of people just like having such a great time and like that just really helps tremendously. So, in this space, especially, you're kind of doing the more elevated things, like what is it? Obviously you bring a lot of experience from your background, from where you've worked, but what is it that kind of like sets you apart, that you do differently or kind of elevates you?
Yeah. I think that what I've noticed is when I started my business here, it is very different here in Florida than it was in New York, and it's changing. The Florida market, you're from here, it's definitely changing a lot. But I think that we bring some things that to me were pretty standard and normal in New York that maybe weren't here. We play continuous live music throughout the night, so we're not the band.
It's very rare.
Yeah,
that is very rare.
We're not the band that's going to like disappear during dinner. We always we'll still take breaks as a band, but we just stagger those breaks so that, you're always getting live music and there's always somebody on stage. If you need us, there's always somebody there. You're not going to have to chase down the band. And just the customization, we really, really try to like dial into our clients and make everything custom for them. We're not just going to be the cookie cutter band that's going to play the same stuff that you hear at every wedding.
That's awesome.
And there's that. And there's also the hybrid element of how we incorporate both the DJ and the live bands with some of our groups. So, I mean, we could talk more about that later if you want, but it's something that really, I think separates us. It makes us very unique.
I love that. Yeah. For clients who are considering live entertainment, what are some things that they should know when they're deciding if the band is the right fit or not?
Yeah.
Because we as a planner get asked all the time, like, I don't know, I kind of want a DJ, but I kind of want a band, or my parents want a band, and, or vice versa. Like, what do you think are the deciding factors for a couple?
Yeah, I mean, I think the experience, what kind of experience you're looking for plays into like ultimately what decision you're going to make.
Band is much more interactive.
I don't want to say that they're much more. I guess, actually, I guess I would say that. There can be DJs that bring a ton of energy. I think that even with the most energetic, outgoing DJ, it's going to be hard with a great band to match. It's going to be impossible, actually, to match the energy of a 10-piece band with great energy. Like when you're talking about the high end and the really great bands, when you have 10 people that are showing up, that is the life of the party. I mean, when we get to a venue, people know. It just
draws people.
Yeah, people know we've arrived. Like we're laughing, or instruments start playing. People are like, "Oh, the band's here," We bring in that energy, and to me, it is pretty much impossible for a DJ to match that kind of energy and that kind of engagement. But to your point, like some people they're not sure. They might not be looking for that much engagement. So that's something to consider. Like, what kind of engagement, what kind of experience do you want to have?
I also think it depends on the type of music you want. Yeah. If you're really looking for current hits that sound, exact, then a DJ might be the way to go.
Oh, I want to talk to you about that.
Oh,
Well, no, and I love that too, because you have such a great point. Like, there's a lot of, in the past, I've seen a lot of good bands, but they didn't have a good MC.
Yeah.
And being able to have both, like that's such a huge advantage. And then the whole hybrid thing, but kind of walk us through like, what are the advantages of each of those, like a band, solo, DJ solo, hybrid, like, you know, each of them must have kind of their unique thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They all have their own unique advantages. And then I'd love to touch on like some of the things that we do that might separate us from even other bands when talking about this. But I think the band thing, what we were just talking about, the engagement, the energy, the performance. I mean, if you're watching a good band, a really good band that's together all the time, it's not like a piecemeal band of ringers that came together just to do this one gig and they're just trying to get through a gig. When you have a really elevated, great band, there's going to be a level of performance that you just can't match. I mean, so I started in this industry as a DJ. So I DJ'd for a long time, and I've been behind the bandstand for a long time. And my best days, and I've never seen this happen with the best DJs, you're never going to really see guests at an event standing there staring at the DJ, like watching him mix.
Watching them do that.
But this happens all the time to us. Like, I can't tell you how many times we're up there and we're rocking a party and there's like somebody's uncle is just standing there like watching the bass player. It's a
form of entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think everybody appreciates a talented musician.
Yeah.
So like watching them perform and just seeing them like, and the way they, like you said, where they've played together before, so how they feed off of each other and the energy with the band members, the singers, the vocalists, all that. Like, it's really cool.
That's really important. It's really important to us, and you know how we build our groups is specifically to have bands that are together and have chemistry together. Super important because that gives you all the customization that you can't get when you put together a group of.
It's probably one of the things I struggle with the most is when a band is not consistently using the same people. You can feel it in the music because there's not this, you know, flow, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stop and go, and they're like unsure of the next song and unsure of what this person's gonna do, and it just ruins the night.
Yeah.
Like, I get so pissed off, and I'll try so hard to fight like a band that I know isn't because you're not practicing together. You don't have the rhythm or the, you know. It's not just flowing. And so
we
frustrating.
feel that. I mean, we're on stage, like my bass player's doing stuff that like I look back at my keyboard player and he's playing and he's like, and everybody's just having a great time. And like you can't get that when everybody's just showing up to get through a gig.
Correct.
You know? And the crowd feels that.
And I understand every once in a while needing to sub somebody out. People have light stuff. It happens.
Yeah.
But for me, it needs to be someone that plays with you, and you need to have that a good backup person.
Yeah.
I just can't do it when the band is in and out like that. You just feel the whole, and it ruins the whole night of music.
For sure.
The whole night of music.
Yeah, my drummer's in Costa Rica right now, and we had a couple of events. It's a slower part of the season, but Bucky stepped right in. He knows everybody. He plays with us, and it's like seamless transition. Yeah, for sure things happen, but honestly, it's pretty rare that anybody.
But a lot of these bands are lliterally. That whole group that's playing together doesn't play together. It's like this drummer, this keyboard, this.
So this is a very. I don't mean to go too far off the path, but this is something I notice about Florida that is very common. There's a lot of
there's no loyalty here.
There's a lot of there's a lot of agencies, and that's great. I mean, it's a business model that works for some people, but there's a lot of agencies. Or what I've noticed is you have a lot of agencies that will just kind of source you a band, right? Like, hey, I need a band. They might contact another. I've been contacted by agencies. Hey, my client's looking for a band. I'm like, we don't really. Do that kind of thing. Or they might piecemeal together musicians and put together a band. You either have that or you have one band. That's the company. It's that band. And that's what you get. When they're booked, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of bands that have multiple musicians in each one, and it just depends on who's available for that date.
Yeah.
But they're not consistently playing together.
You're saying even with the one band,
like they'll have a band name.
Yeah, maybe the core members of the
we're the
band
Bubbles or whatever. Watch there be a band named the Bubbles. But like whatever we are, and it could be this keyboardist this night with this guitarist this night, but then the next night it's a different keyboardist with it just doesn't that's to me when it jives the least, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just too inconsistent. There's not enough practicing. They're stopping between each music, each song. Like there's not a flow.
Yeah.
It makes me cringe. I have to leave the room.
Yeah. Well, I love that you notice that because it makes me feel like the effort that we put into what we do is not unnoticed. I mean, I know it's not, but like hearing you touch on some of those things that I wasn't sure if people even knew like what we were doing, but they just felt something was right.
Yeah.
That's cool to hear you say that.
I noticed it big time.
Well, and I'm sure the band members probably prefer that too, because it probably makes it easier or better for them. They're not having to start from scratch each time. So okay, so part 2 of this question. So we were talking about kind of like the advantages of like solo DJ, band, solo. Whatever.
Yeah.
Do you find that there's certain types of clients that gravitate towards those different options? Like, do you find
that's
one
a good
more
question.
than another,
I think I heard some statistic. I don't know how you might be able to tell me that like 80% of weddings are DJs. Is that?
Oh, I have no clue, actually.
I have heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that. And it's probably true because if you think about...
Let's have our producer check on that. Let's see what ChatGPT says.
Well, because that would kind of make sense to me because I would say the majority of weddings take place in a budget level that would more likely afford it. I mean, think of how many hundreds of weddings take place all across the U.S. Thousands.
They don't think about their budget. They book the band and then they'll be like, oh, I don't know why we don't have any money.
But I thought the same thing, Aaron. I thought like, okay, like when you look at the full scope of all the weddings happening, how many of them have 20 people at them? How many, are, you know?
Well, because weren't you saying like you saw what the national average was that they were saying
70% of weddings is what ChatGPT says.
Okay. Because you were saying like the average price of a wedding is like 30 grand or 40 grand
so
or something
online
like
it says, and we can also have our producer double check what the current one is, but I believe it says the last time I looked like 34,000. I haven't done a wedding for 34,000. I can't tell you how long.
Well, and that would be why they wouldn't have 70% of them wouldn't have a band.
Correct, because they're doing that. But I don't know that that's even true. I think that's BS. Like, I think in this city with, in the rural areas. Even be
taking into account the people that just go to the courthouse.
Maybe.
And sign papers and that's a wedding.
There's just no way. With the cost of events, when was the last time you tried to feed 150 people? When was the last time you tried to give drinks to 150 people?
I don't even know if you could feed 150 people McDonald's for $30,000 anymore these days.
That is my point. It's like people think weddings are so expensive and they don't understand why all of us vendors charge what we charge. We have one, like you have one date that you can play with your band.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, and you're holding that date for a year, like counting on the income, and you've got all those people. So ChatGPT is saying 34 to 36. But for me, it's like people just don't understand. Think about last time you tried to get 150 people in the same room and feed them, give them alcohol, have a seat for them, have decor, have flowers. Like, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Like the insurance we all have to carry. There's just so many elements.
Sure.
Okay, so back to that.
Yes.
And so you're saying you're saying probably the budget would.
I think budget plays a big part.
In it. Okay.
I think experience plays a role into it. I don't know. I deal in mostly bands, right? So obviously the people that are reaching out to me are typically looking for bands.
Do you feel that there's a lot of price shock when you tell someone?
Sometimes, yeah.
Because I would say like a decent band, for the most part, there are a few exceptions, but a decent band for the most part starts at 10,000 or more, and honestly goes way, way up. I mean, I've booked bands that are 100,000.
Yeah.
I've booked bands that are 10,000. I've booked bands that are 20,000. I would say the average band that we book for a wedding is probably somewhere between 10 and 25 grand.
Yeah.
I think that depends on how many pieces you have, how many hours they're playing. Like, there's a lot of factors that go into that.
For sure.
But that's also not the only cost associated with the band.
Yeah, I try. That's a great point because, sometimes you might have to consider a stage. If you're having an outdoor wedding, do you have power out there? You might need a generator. You might need to bring those things in. So
shade, tents. I mean, your music, your instruments can't really be like in the Florida heat like that. You have to plan for backup.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, vendor meals. Like, instead of feeding the one DJ, I know you and I argue about this, but instead of feeding the one
that
DJ,
was one of our hot topics on the vendor meal thing.
Yes.
We had this conversation at a wedding.
We fight. He's one of the only vendors I know that doesn't require a meal in his contract.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
You want to know why? Because so in the years that I've been doing this, one time of all the weddings that we've done, one time a client didn't feed us, and I just bought food for everybody. It's like, it was actually better than the vendor.
So you don't have it because you don't want to eat. You just have it because it hasn't been necessary
I will always
for you
make
to
sure,
remind them to think of you that you guys.
I will always
eat.
make sure my team is fed. Here's the thing. I don't, and it might seem, especially when you're dealing at the price points that we're at, I don't think that most clients will bat an eyelash to be like, all right, yeah, we have. But like, we are bringing in the largest team pretty much always, right? Like there's usually not 12 people on site for any other vendor. My team is 12, sometimes more people. It adds up when you, and sometimes my clients have already extended their budget to have us. They've heard great things. They're like, we want you. I have a client right now that's like, it's more than we expected, but we're doing it. We really want you guys. So like, they've already extended their budget, and now to come down the line months before the wedding and be like, whoa, we have $2,000 on vendor meals. Like,
Well, it's not too. Let's not be dramatic.
what is it?
It's like $50 a vendor meal.
Okay, well that's
So
okay.
come on.
I was thinking like
But we
$1,000.
also, one of the things that we did talk about though is it could also depend on the venue, because sometimes like you're not allowed to
$20.
bring in outside food
Yeah.
either. So
Like,
you're
if
going to
you're-
need to have what the venue is.
If you're at
provided
one of
for.
the main resorts down here, there's no outside food allowed in.
Yeah.
Like if you're at a real resort,
Definitely not by dinner time for sure.
for sure not. Lunchtime, sometimes they'll let us, they'll close their eyes.
Yeah.
But dinner time, there's no way we're going into their room. It's against their insurance. Like we have to have a vendor meal.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're on a wedding of mine, you're getting fed because I'm telling the client it's the right thing
And that's
to do.
what I've found. It was one
so you just
time.
think it naturally happens.
Yeah, I mean, we're always asked. I always say, "Hey, this is how many vendor meals we would request if and I've just never had anybody be like, "No, we're not doing that." It was one time. It was a very unique situation. I was advised about it way in advance so I could make it plans.
Because that's the other thing. It's hard in the time that you have to actually be able to get something there where your team can eat at that particular time.
Before you start, almost. Yeah,
for sure.
It's kind of interesting because now thinking back on it, I did not have it in our contract that we required vendor meals either. But what I would
I'm
always
just
have a
the bad
conversation with the couple at our meeting when we're talking about
Your
pricing
producer's
budget or
saying
whatever.
different over here.
And I would say we don't count the meal time typically as part of our coverage.
Yeah.
Because you're going to usually provide a meal for us. And they're like, oh yeah, we want to make sure that you guys eat.
Yeah.
We'll get you the same thing that everybody's having or whatever.
Sure.
So like, I don't think we made them sign on the dotted line that if I'm leaving,
Okay.
you don't
I'm
feed
careful. I don't want to surprise anybody. I don't want them to not, to look at my contract and think to themselves like, oh, there's no vendor
You're the
meals
only
in
one.
there. I'm the only one. All right. Well,
time to
never hurts to be an outlier.
Listen, I get it, and I totally appreciate where you're coming from and trying to respect the couple's budget, but I also understand the other side of it. And as a planner, I need you to be fed at a certain time so that we stay on the same flow.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that we're not getting in trouble with the venue because we're not allowed to bring outside food.
Yeah.
I don't need you to be cranky. I've seen that.
Getting
not-
angry.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want me to be hangry. That is not a good look.
Yeah, I can respect that too. I'll consider it.
Well, it's required on all my clients' events now. So, but and also,
funny.
I don't want to be sitting and eating in front of you. Like then I'm like, here's half my food.
No,
well, I
no,
already
we
give
wouldn't.
Aaron half my food.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we're both on an event together, Jessica's not gonna get to eat anything.
Yeah.
I'll eat half her meal. You can have the
Yeah.
other.
I just feel like, you make good points. And honestly, it's something that we should look at. Summer's a great time to relook at it.
Or even just put in there an indication that like, hey, based on the venue, if we're not allowed outside food, we will require a meal. And I can
Okay.
totally respect that.
Yeah. Okay.
How
I
many
like
people
that.
you have.
Because it is really logistically like against their liability and insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That makes
all their
sense.
food has to come from the venue.
I feel like what the takeaway is, I would love to have the client sign a contract for a price, and just to know that like if that's all that they're obligated for. Like, yes, it would be great to get a stage. You should have a stage. If you have 150 plus people, you should put the band on a stage. Nobody's going to be able to see us. But if you choose to not have a stage, as long as we're not in dirt or grass, like we'll set up on the ballroom floor, and that's you know.
But there has to be some requirements.
Yeah. I think truly, and maybe this will kick me one day.
I'm going to relook at your contract.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I think truly from my experience is that we have the kind of clients that they take care of us typically. Like a stage, they put us on a stage. If they know we need coverage, they know we need food. I've never had an issue. Our clients,
but it's good to set the expectation so that they know on the front end what really is needed to make the event successful.
With that. Yeah, I don't want to blindside them with anything.
Correct.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
That's the biggest thing for me is because then I'm telling them, hey, you need a stage. Hey, you need to feed this person. And we're like, well, their contract doesn't say so. Well, I do because it's the right thing to do. And it's going to elevate the rest of the evening.
You might get that one rare person in the mix.
But I mean, they probably wouldn't hire me.
But then again, I think you probably... when you know what venue it's going to be at, that probably also gives you a good idea, indication of
we know where we're walking
the level
into.
of what you're walking into.
There are some venues we know most of the venues that we're commonly working at. So it's like, hey, just so you know, you need a generator here. You're going to need a stage because there's only grass out there. You know, so I'm able to. I do have those conversations, and I make sure that they know exactly what could be needed or should be needed. And the food thing is, you make a great point with that. I will.
It's only taken me years to get this point across.
He's more Floridian than anyone.
Yeah, now he is.
Thanks, Sarah. Take that as a compliment. Yeah.
So I know you've been working on, you have a hybrid band, and the band is called...
DJ Philip and the Forevers is our hybrid band.
Love
but
that.
Truly, I don't think people realize it because we present as a live band. My band, the Josh Greyson band, we're actually really a hybrid band.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have said that.
I think most people don't realize it, but if you look at me on the stage, you'll see like one of those DJ furniture things, the command center. It's actually not a command center, but it's like a Pro X controller. And I have turntables on stage at all time. And actually how that came about is because of my background as a DJ. I started DJing when I was like 16 years. The first wedding I ever did, I was 16 years old.
Oh wow!
You would have freaked out.
I would have freaked out.
There was like an MC with me that it was like I was the DJ, he was the MC, and he was like an older dude. But I was literally DJing a wedding at 16. That was the first wedding I ever did.
That's terrifying.
I know.
I'm thinking of my current 16-year-old.
I would say that I started
No.
photography when I was 12 then, because that's the only way I can explain that I've been doing this young, and I'm still as young as I am.
I just don't talk about it.
I know, I do. I tell people 20, 21 years. They're like, how old are you? I'm like, yeah, no, I've started when I was 16. But yeah, so I was in the wedding. I've been a musician my whole life, but I was in the wedding world as a DJ for a long time before I even got into the band world.
That's awesome.
So I came into the band scene, and it was a remarkable company in New York. They were like, they still are one of the biggest entertainment companies. They're in business like 50 years. So all these amazing bands, and it was such a cool world to step into. But what I noticed when I would watch these bands is they did not flow the event the way a DJ would. And I didn't like that. Like I wanted to still be a DJ with my band. I wanted to do mashups. I wanted to mix out of songs quicker. I wanted to blend the music. So you mentioned that before. I thought that was cool that you noticed that. I can't stand when a band plays a song and they end it, even if they're like right into the next one. There's just that
still
second.
that transition.
Oh, drives me crazy.
So I'm very like, when I'm going through music, like I'm thinking about the night as a DJ, even with my band. So that's one thing we do. And another thing is that where I'm incorporating stuff with the DJ, with the band at the same time, that enables us to play stuff that you would never expect a live band to play. And I think that that's something that is pretty unique about us. But I think most people, it's so seamless that people don't realize what's even happening.
So is it rehearsed prior, or are you able to even just kind of go with the flow?
Not really. No, we're pretty much always it's like the running joke. So I have my microphone that I sing into, and that the crowd hears me on, and then I have another microphone here. And that's my talkback microphone, and I'm able to talk to my band on it, and they hear me on their in-ears.
So
and
you're
you guys
queuing them up to what
and
you're going to go.
And I'm notorious for like, I get an idea and like we're going into this, and everybody, oh yeah. But like it is cool, and they're good enough to like right on the fly like go into it. But we'll mash stuff up, and I'll be like, keep this going. We're gonna sing this over this. Like I'm getting ideas the way a DJ would, because that's just my background. So like that's how.
So that brings me to this question then: how do you walk us through how you curate your music list for each event, and is it? And my second part to that is: do you like when a client gives you a list of music that they want to hear?
Okay. So the first part of the question, it's all about the couple. Like we lock into our clients from the beginning, right? So we really get to know what they want. I'm matching them with the right band for them. Like
Because you have 4 bands essentially.
Yeah. So I want to make sure like, oh, you like country music, you like this. This is the band that's going to be able to deliver that the best, even though we're all pretty eclectic. But it's all about the client. It's all about understanding what they're looking for, what they, past weddings that they've been to, what they liked, what they didn't like. But when it comes down to it, we walk into the night knowing their must plays, their do not plays, their general vibe. They give us that. Most of our clients really just trust us with that. They give us the guidance. Like these are some non-negotiables, but like we trust you. I do not write, and I think this really is a game changer for like how the night goes. We do not pre-plan set lists ever. So I've never walked.
Interesting.
Yeah, we do not walk into the night with a set list. Cool. I don't send the band like tonight we're going to do this song into this song. It's all happening on the fly in the moment.
Based on the feeling in the room.
Yeah, because I think you would ask any DJ they don't pre-plan their set lists.
It depends.
Yeah,
Are they a Spotify DJ or are they a real DJ?
Classification.
Any real DJ, they're not. I never did as a DJ. Like I had my crates on my Serato, and those would inspire me. And I would obviously know the parameters of where the client wants me to be and songs that I know I need to work in. So I'm like if it's a song from a certain era, I know I need to get into it at this point in the night because I know once I start transitioning later, there's not going to be time to get that song in. So I'm making sure to hit those songs at the right times. But a DJ is like feeling out the crowd and reading it. And that's exactly how we approach all of our weddings. We do not write set lists where I'm feeling everybody out in the moment. And because I've heard stories of like, you might have, it looks great on paper, but then you might be there. You might have planned an 8-song disco set. And for 4 of those songs, everybody started vibing. Everybody was having a great time. And you start noticing people are like leaving the dance floor. But if you're locked in and you have to get through those 4 songs, by the time you're done with that disco set, you've lost everybody.
Yep. Yeah.
So I like to be in control of that and like to be seeing what's happening and just like act in the moment. And I think that's the best way to approach it. So.
That's awesome. Well, that segues into the emceeing part of it then, because that's also got to be essential to keep the evening flowing between the music with the various things that you have to, formalities to get through. So do you MC for your band, then you have specific ones for the other bands?
Yeah, so all of our band leaders are our MCs. So myself for my band, R. Anthony for the R. Anthony band, Philip for DJ Philip and the Forevers. They act as the MCs. They'll make all the announcements. And it is my philosophy, and this is a highly debated topic in the entertainment industry, but like I think the greatest MCs are ones that you barely notice. Yep. And I'm not talking about, and I'm not talking about like I mess with the crowd sometimes. We have fun with people, and that there's a difference between like performing a song and MCing in a moment and being too much. So I've never been a fan, and I don't mean to knock because some clients want that and it's great.
I don't.
No?
I don't think so. I mean, I think if you need to give some direction, but I think at the end of the day, there needs to be less emceeing and more music.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, that's how we.
But when you do need to MC, it needs to be good.
It needs to be good.
That's my biggest pet peeve.
You need to be well spoken. You need to be able to grab the command of the room.
Yeah.
And you better be like on point with your timeline, the planner's timeline. The MC. I mean, if I start to announce speeches, you can't go back on that announcement. Yes. So like, I better make sure the photographer's ready. He's not changing the battery. Yeah. All those things play into a good MC. And
then how it flows into the next thing and getting people back up and going.
Sure.
And that's huge.
Absolutely.
I love it. And I think also for me, going back to the previous question, I am a huge proponent in not having our brides give you a complete list of songs. I feel like it really ruins the night.
Yeah.
I think you have to have some creative freedom. There has to be some trust there. Yes, you can say like, hey, I don't want to hear this song, and here are some of my must plays that are just like my favorites or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be creative freedom because if not, you're trying to get 150 people to dance.
Yeah.
Or 200 people or 100 people, whatever it is, right? And if you're just stuck on this one list and that's not the vibe of the room, it kills the wedding.
You're 100%
and it
right,
doesn't matter, the bride and groom will be unhappy regardless, even if you're playing all their song for the, for the most part, because they're going to be out on the dance floor alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see it's happened to us once recently. And actually, she was really cool about it. I was like, hey, we're happy to do it. Was a DJ. I find that clients are pretty aware of the fact that like a DJ can play anything. Mm-hmm. So like songs in different languages. Like we're a pretty versatile band, but like, of course, a DJ has the ability to play way more in a night than we could ever do as a band.
Or if they needed to go online and download something quickly.
Oh yeah, like within a second they could have a song that they, So I think that they're pretty aware of that, and sometimes they feel more obliged to be like, hey, here's all the songs that I want, because they know it's like,
easier.
But it's still a pain for DJs too.
Yes.
But I haven't had much experience with them doing that to us as a band. But yeah, I would agree with you that if they were, I would have to be like, hey, like, are you sure that we try to accommodate our clients in every way we can. We have no ego. It's not about us, and we want to make sure that they're getting what they want. But to your point, we want to give them a good party and make them feel like so. I haven't had that happen much, but I do think that we've been lucky to have clients that really trust us with the curation of the night, awesome. And we just get some good guidance to work with.
And I love that I'm hearing the same thread about the no ego, the team player. That's the thing that we've seen already, like the thread through all the commonality of like all the guests that we've had on. And that's what really elevates you into that space where you can like provide that, because you're there for the client, for the team. And I think you have to have a little bit of a like crazy personality in some ways to do events. Like it's so different. So like, what is something that you would tell to, say musicians that were thinking about or wanting to get into playing for events? Because I know it's so much different than just being in a regular band.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the first step is being a good musician, right? That's having the right set list and material to be able to step in and be able to play it. But then there's like a whole other side of things that you have to learn and you have to be really good at. I mean, you have to be a professional. You have to show up on time. You have to
be dressed appropriately.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
you have to know that you're giving up every Saturday.
Yeah. You have to give up your weekends, and you have to prioritize it. If I have a singer that if I wanted to hire a new singer and they were like, yeah, that's great, you guys do 70 weddings a year, I could do 35 of them. Well, that doesn't work for me, because now there's 35 jobs I can't get to somebody who might want to take all 70. So like we need commitment from you. But like we're really big on presentation and the way we're dressed, the coordination, not staring at iPads all night when we're singing songs. No soda cans on stage or water bottles on the stage. Your gig bags, get them off the stage. Like that stage should be clean, cabling, nice.
You're speaking the Jessica language.
Like, music to my ears.
Yes, literally.
No, we do. All our cabling is nice and clean and run nice. And like if my band knows, like don't put your water bottle behind the bandstand. So there's so much more to being a high level musician in this industry than just being a talented musician. And in fact, I would argue that I'd rather somebody that gets all the other side and we could work with their elevating than somebody who's really talented.
Great, I'm gonna be performing soon.
Do you do music at all?
What would your instrument of choice be?
You can play the violin.
Oh,
do you really?
Wow.
You played like when you were in school, or
for a long time.
When was the last time you played?
I don't know. It's been a hot minute, but I think I could just pick it up and do it again.
Okay.
I really don't know that it would be a big deal.
You should get like a pink electric violin, and you could surprise everybody and fill it.
I don't have enough jobs.
You got the bow hold down still and all that.
Yeah, I think I could still do. I don't know.
You probably could.
It's been a really long time, but I played for a long time, and I feel like it's almost muscle memory.
I'm getting vibes from you that you were like good.
I was pretty good.
Yeah. Then I bet you could.
Jessica doesn't do anything that she's not going to pour
This is true.
herself 100%. If she couldn't be good at it, she wouldn't do it. So I'm learning that.
But honestly, I don't have any spare time, so I don't don't play anymore. But I was in a lot of theater and, did all that geeky stuff.
You could get a car that drove you around, and then you could play the violin while you were driving.
Because I'm not on a conference
That's true. You're
call.
probably on the phone. And
I don't even listen to music anymore. It's
Oh my
really
God.
I don't
sad.
listen to music either.
Do you listen to podcasts? No.
I listen to podcasts on Wednesdays.
I listen to them while I'm driving.
That's what I do. I mean, if I'm not on a call, I literally schedule all my calls for when I'm in the car.
Wow.
And then I have a list of people I call on my way home from work. And if you don't answer by the time I get home, you move to the next day.
Yeah.
Is that because of events that you don't listen to music, or it's just because you're too busy?
But both.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because-
honestly, I can't, if I hear certain songs one more time, I might scream.
yeah.
And
How do you think I feel?
yeah, I know. I cannot, no offense to this man, but I cannot listen to any
Don't say
more
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars.
He's the most common dude on the He's so talented. Too.
He's so talented. No
I
offense.
can proudly say, even after all the years of doing weddings, I don't know how to do any of the activity dances. I don't know how to do the Macarena.
We will never play
I'm
those.
I swear, I'm going to escape out of here unscathed.
But do you know how to dance at all?
Well,
okay, then let's.
if I had to learn, Jen's our designated dancer.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, no, listening to music, my wife, thank God for her, because my sons are very musical. I can tell. Even at a young age, they sing. I hear that they have good pitch, they have good tone. I don't play music around them. It's all to her credit. And because I can't listen to music, I'm I have to listen to it for work to learn songs. But my wife will walk in and I'm in the barn, building something, and it's just quiet. She's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "This is crazy." And she's like, "You're just in here in silence?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just I need to settle my brain. I hear music so much."
I used to be a music person. I loved music. I burned CDs and did all kinds of stuff and really loved listening to music and would get in the car and totally jam out.
Yeah.
And now I get in the car and I'm like, turn the radio off.
Quiet.
I just need quiet. I mean, between people talking to me all day, being on the phone all day, listening to music every weekend that I don't really want to hear sometimes, it's not always the same vibe.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I thought I could sing when I was a kid, but I've learned true that wasn't true.
Just
Some karaoke.
Yeah. I also wanted to be a soap opera actress, so that tells you guys something.
Hey, wait,
Days
this
of
is
our
one
lives.
step closer. You're in front of the cameras now.
I don't think I
never know.
I can't cry very easily.
Can you?
Yes, I can cry on command.
On command.
I won't ask you to do it.
That's pretty good.
Learning all kinds of things here.
Yes. Okay. So we've reached the end. We have our thing that we do, which is your vendor confession. So we want to know something that basically I'm done with this. People need to know.
Get it off your
This is
chest.
a get it off your chest moment. This is a safe space.
Gosh. Okay.
We
No
won't
judgment.
judge you. Everybody else online might,
This
but
is a
we
safe
won't.
space.
This is a safe
Within
space.
this confines of these
Yes.
four walls, nothing.
Yeah, this is a hard one, but I think the best way I could put this is we are professionals at what we do, and we could do our best to it is our duty to try to educate our clients. But if I could give a vendor confession and advice to the vendor world, let people have their weddings. If they're not going to take your advice on it, don't fight them on it. Don't post on social media about it. Let them have their wedding. You know, that's my.
I always say this. I always say to my couples, and even to my clients, here's the pro and con of what you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to have all the information. I disagree with you doing this, but if that's what you want, it's your wedding, and I will
that.
respect
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe don't tag me, but if that's what you
We'll not
want,
collaborate with you
yes.
on it.
But if that's what you want, then I want you to be happy. Ultimately, there's no point in me doing my job and you saying Jessica was great, but she didn't let me do this, and I hated my whole wedding.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want you to be like, Jessica was the best decision we ever made. I loved my wedding. She made sure I had all the knowledge to make good, educated decisions. And now we've gotten the wedding we wanted.
Yeah.
And then in the end, if I was still right, which probably I was, then they can come and say, Jess, you were right. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But hey, here we are.
Most of the times we're probably right. Listen, you get married hopefully once in a lifetime. I make that joke with my clients all the time. This is probably the one and only time you'll ever book a 10-piece band to perform for you. You know, so it makes sense to lean into the pros and and I think
trust your vendors.
Yeah, I think a little bit of it is social media, just like people trying to get clicks and stuff.
But I like that. I think that people just need to have the confidence to just be true to themselves and not be over influenced by social media or doing something just because they saw it on social media too. Yeah. I think that would be the flip side of it. Like, you know, it's your wedding, but don't feel pressured to do something cool just because you saw it on social media.
Yeah.
I love
Be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, I love this is a good vendor confession.
Okay, cool. I was nervous about that.
No,
I like it. I love it. I think that we need more authentic.
Yes. I think people just need to have weddings that are themselves. Yes.
Cool. Yeah. I love that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Guys.
From the Noah Gray Music Agency. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, we can take that. Yeah. Noah Gray Music.
Yes, Noah Gray Music. I love that.
Let us know when your new contract is written.
Yeah, I'll send it to you for approval.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate. We know this takes a lot of time and energy to come and be here with us, so we really appreciate it. It's been great getting to know a little bit more about you. And I know you're a New Yorker.
Yeah. You know. Well, I love what you guys are doing, and I appreciate you inviting me here and taking the time to spend with me and to, you know, talk about me for 40 minutes.
Don't get a big ego, okay? All right.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.